So, welcome, Juan Carlos. Thank you for agreeing to have this conversation. Um,
Yes, you're my friend. I love to talk with friends. Yes,
yes.
why not?
So, my question is about what when we're talking, you often refer to the margins, and I'm wondering what you mean by that, and what, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's different approaches about margins when I talked about it. First one is the margins is we can identify as margins the responses that people are bringing to society from another point of view, another perspective, another paradigm uh, that challenge society. Margins, but specifically those responses are pushed back by society. Based on the paradigms that are predominant in society, people and their responses to life are pushed back, um, and that will say one approach. The second will be that the people who are carrying those responses, that we call those responses as margins from society, also are people who are how do you say this, are accused by the predominant institutional bodies of society, are accused as less pure, less humans, less whatever. But in order to justify the predominant way of the paradigm is existing in society. So that would be another approach of margins. Also, is the people who are carrying those responses. Not only the responses, but also the people who are behind those responses are, let's say, marginalized, but are marginalized. Underlying that marginalization is an accusation, because they are challenged the systems with another approach.
So,
Yeah, I would say,
uh,
yeah, those two approaches.
yeah,
There
that's
are there are
very
there are there are another approach that I can highlight it. We can
okay.
finish with these three approaches. The other approach about margins is when people from the margins, or from the margins, those responses coming from people who are talking their truth, of how they have been suffering the collusion of many types of oppression, and they start speaking their truth in society, opening their own suffering publicly. uh, they start awakening in us. Also, some of us, not all of us, but some of us start being aware of also our own margins in our own stories, that have been hidden by the paradigm in society. But so also we can start talking here as a third dimension of margins, or third approach of margin, is the margins of our own stories that are hidden. So we have the responses, the people behind those responses, and also the margins of our own stories that are awoken, I don't know the word, awoken, um, by the truth of people who are talking from the margins, let's say that.
So, in the context of Shambhala, it seems to me that might mean that we start by looking at the margins in our own experience, in our own thinking, in our own being, and that's a very traditional notion of what meditation is all about. But
Mhm.
my question is, what do the other two have to do with a spiritual path?
Well, let's start it from the context of what is happening now in our lives. Or at least I want to talk about my context. Is I can see that the planet is being destroyed. There's many people migrating, moving around the globe. Um, based on violence, extreme violence in many countries, many places. There's unlimited accumulation for people from a few group of people trying to control, and there's an unlimited accumulation taking resources. So the context is very violent right now around us. So the paradigm is about dominion. There's an ideology about, in order to survive, somebody needs to be sacrificed. In order to survive, somebody needs to be pushed back. And I don't care about those people. That's the mentality. You know, it's a dominion, domination, condemnation, sacrifice. It's a cycle. But people from their responses, let's say from the margins, as a transgression to that kind of cycle. It comes from another way of, for example, forgiveness. No, when we talk about forgiveness, non-violence actions, another way to relate with Mother Earth, like for example, being connected to Mother Earth. All of that is something different. So, going to your point about Shambhala, yes, I think is related to silence. No, you are how do you say? You are making room for silence in your own life to ground yourself in a different source of reality. Let's say that. Not the cycle in which we are already involved and following patterns of domination, condemnation, sacrifice, is getting in silence to touch another possibilities, another emerging possibilities in our life. So I relate, yes, that's a margin. It's the margins of what is hidden by society, and in Shambhala, it's about related to basic goodness. So it's a dimension of reality that emerge. What I see is that it's not enough. As a practice, is not enough. This practice needs to be also be in touch with the margins in society. So it's kind of like the transgression that comes to this cycle of domination, condemnation, sacrifice. We need the truth of people who are responding from the margins in society. And also we need the silence to explore the hidden stories that are connected with those struggles. There's a ground, deeper ground, in which we can experience communion, deep communion as humans, and a basic goodness ground of humanity, and connected with Mother Earth and the cosmos and the universe. It's not separate. But just the practice alone, by silence and touching that basic goodness by itself, I think we need to make room also for the voices coming from the margins, and that is kind of an earthquake of transformation, and it's very powerful.
So it seems that implicit in what you're saying is that each side needs the other, but that may not be part of the ongoing conversation, where we understand that the silence needs the margin and the margin needs the silence.
Yes, they walk together, and my understanding of that is also a friendship between the deeper ground and the deeper ground coming from the margins of society. It's kind of like a deeper ground, a friendship there. Let me tell you, like, for example, an example. I was in Mexico a month ago, 3 weeks ago. We were with a mother of disappeared children, and how they were sharing with us their wounds, their suffering, but also how they were sharing about their responses to find their children. I cannot, there's no time to talk about all of this, but when they were talking, they were looking for their children, and also they were offering forgiveness to society. They were not saying, we are looking at our children and we want a revenge to somebody. We want this to not happen again, for never again. So this sense of offering forgiveness for that kind of suffering challenge us to start thinking what is the forgiveness that we are offering to our own hidden stories. If this mother of disappear can share their own wounds publicly about their treasures, how can we explore what this is happening, and how what is happening there is connected with the for example traffickers of arms and guns coming from the United States over there, like more than 80%, something like that, of guns that have the cartels, and all of that is coming from the United States. And how it is related to how we approach guns and arms and war, and why is this sense of cycle of domination, condemnation, sacrifice again. And then so they are awakening us, but based on their truth and their courage to open their wounds to us, to help us to explore also our own woundedness, a deep woundedness that is this very covert. We cannot do it alone. We need the truth from others to awaken us. It's not I would say, based on Shambhala practices, there's no an individual path that and it's very helpful, because if not, you will be trapped on arrogance, right? You will be trapped on arrogance. And this is, I have been developing this path for 25 years, and I don't know, the superpower spiritual person. It's not about that. It's going on the contrary. Is letting go everything that is avoiding looking deeply our own woundedness, connected with the wounds of margins in society. And in that woundedness, through solidarity, through experience of love and truth, we can touch an emergent reality that I think that's what is trying to symbolize basic goodness. So basic goodness is not about something that makes us superior than others. It has to be a deeper ground.
Right.
Like falling in love in reality with the victims of all society. There's many things to share about this.
Well, that gets us going. Yeah. So thank you very much for this kind of for the beginning of a conversation.
Yeah, I would say just also that touching that ground, emerge actions, emerge transgression to the systems, how it operate.
Yeah.
But it's a transgression with joy, with love, coming from that deeper ground of connection.
Yeah.
So margins are good news. Margins are good news. We don't need to be afraid of margins. Yeah.